Now at 5, competent to stand trial. That's the ruling a judge just made when it comes to the suspect accused of killing an Elwood police officer, when the death penalty case could now go before a jury.
Some storms popping up this afternoon and this evening, and another chance tomorrow. I'll have a look ahead in your weekend forecast.
And a fire in the heart of Zionsville. Why the FBI is now investigating and how that community is reacting to it.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Felicia Lawrence alongside Scott Swan, who's in for Anne Marie.
And we want to begin tonight at 5 with the death penalty murder trial for Carl Boards, which is now back on track after a judge ruled that Boards is competent to stand trial.
Boards is charged with the shooting death of Elwood police officer Noah Chavez almost 4 years ago. Rich and I was in the courtroom in Anderson where Boards refused to speak with his attorneys.
Carl Boards was ruled incompetent to stand trial in December. After mental health treatment at the Logansport State Hospital, Judge Andrew Hopper on Friday accepted the report that Boards has regained competency.
The doctor has found that he is competent to stand trial. The court has accepted that opinion. He is going to be returned to the Indiana Department of Correction for safekeeping pending trial in this case.
Boards' family and the parents of Elwood police officer Noah Chavez both attended Friday's hearing. The judge offered to move the trial up to October, but both sides cited more time needed to review Boards' new mental health records. The trial remains scheduled for February 24th next year.
There's another potential complication developing in this case. Boards refuses to talk with his attorneys. In fact, he refused to speak with them in the courtroom today. And one of Boards' attorneys is asking to be withdrawn from the case.
Judge Andrew Hopper had to directly question Boards, who gave permission for release of his medical records from the state hospital, then suggested that the prosecution pick the defense attorneys so he would lose the trial. Boards attorney Lemuel Stigler said this is further evidence that his client is delusional and why he is asking to be excused from the case.
Ultimately, it's the judge's decision, the court's decision, and the application of the law as to whether a defense attorney can withdraw. So that's a court decision. The defense attorney in this case has asked to do that. That's a hearing, and again, the court's going to make that decision. I can't speculate as to whether that's going to happen or not. We will obviously argue against that.
That issue will be argued at the next court hearing, August 14th. In Anderson, Rich Knight, 13 News.
24-year-old Noah Chavez was shot and killed during a traffic stop on July 31st of 2022. Court records say Boards fired 36 shots through the windshield while the officer was still sitting in his police car.
Tonight at 5, we're learning a 19-year-old Anderson man will probably spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of a woman. A Madison County judge sentenced Kyrie Craver this week to 90 years in prison. A jury found him guilty on 6 different charges in the deadly shooting of 26-year-old Dayla Swain. Craver was 17 at the time of the shooting back in February of 2025. Craver was one of 4 people arrested in that murder. Our partners at the Anderson Herald Bulletin report the prosecutor has also filed murder charges against 3 other people.
Now to a major development tonight in the case against an Indianapolis maintenance man accused of raping and killing a 15-year-old girl.
Tavis Walker withdrew his guilty plea in court today, sending this case toward a jury trial this fall. Ashton Hackman tonight explains what happened in court.
Friday's hearing was a true gut punch for the family of 15-year-old Janiyah Carr, who have waited nearly 3 years for a conclusion to this case, now realizing they will have to sit through a jury trial in just a few months.
The plea agreement had already been signed. 36-year-old Tavis Walker was expected to plead guilty to murder and felony sexual misconduct with a minor. Instead, he withdrew his guilty plea and asked for a jury trial. Prosecutors say the agreement offered the lowest sentence they were willing to accept.
That is significantly lower than his actual range, whether that's at trial or if a plea is negotiated at some point in the future. These numbers are the lowest that they will ever be.
Janiyah Carr was missing for 2 days before her body was found in a wooded area behind the Carriage House East Apartments. She was just 3 weeks shy of her 16th birthday. Prosecutors say Walker was a maintenance man at the complex. They say surveillance video helped link him to the killing.
The prosecution is expected to once again file the habitual offender and firearm enhancements to this case. All of it is set for a jury trial on September 22nd. In Indianapolis, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
Walker will now be tried on all of the original charges that he faced, which could carry more than 250 years of total prison time. He'll stay in jail until that trial begins.
Tonight, the Marion County coroner is working to identify a man shot and killed on the near south side of Indy. The shooting happened around 10:30 Thursday night near East Raymond and Shelby Streets. However, Metro Police did not find the victim there. They found him in a car, which witnesses say the victim crashed into a wooded area when he tried to drive away after someone shot him. Police have not released any info about any suspects.
Developing tonight at 5, the FBI is now investigating an alleged targeted attack on a building in Zionsville.
The fire happened on South Main Street at what was once known as Kogan Antiques and Lighting. Fortunately, no one was hurt in this.
Brandon Schaff tonight explains what we know so far as Zionsville police search for a suspect.
After a fire caused extensive damage to this vacant building here in the middle of Zionsville, investigators now believe that foul play is suspected. Town officials believe a suspect set an Israeli flag on fire early Friday morning. The flag was on display for the last few years at this vacant building on South Main Street.
It breaks my heart, and I don't think that, this isn't the people that I know in Zionsville. This doesn't define Zionsville. This is an unfortunate incident. I've used the word appalling, abhorrent. I can't think of enough adjectives to tell you just how I feel about this. It's obviously wrong. It's not something that we ever want to see anywhere, particularly in our town.
The fire spread, causing more than $150,000 in damage. The Jewish Community Relations Council says while these incidents cause fear, they aren't indicative of Zionsville and central Indiana.
We've seen more and more acts of hate and intimidation targeting all kinds of communities, but certainly the Jewish community. But I think more than anything, sometimes we're also very concerned about sort of these one-off events, right? These lone actors.
Authorities are asking anyone with information that can help them find a suspect who caused this fire to reach out to them. Reporting here in Zionsville, Brandon Schaff, 13 News.
Burn patterns and surveillance video helped investigators determine this was probably arson. You can find the phone number for the Zionsville police detective on our website, WTHR.com.
All right, 5:06 this Friday, and we're tracking the impact storms could make in parts of central Indiana tonight.
Yeah, in fact, some are beginning to pop up on Live Doppler 13. Angela's over in the Weather Center. So is there any threat of severe weather tonight, Angela?
The threat of severe weather is mainly across the southern part of the state, and there's so much going on. Even if we don't get severe storms, these pop-up storms will be enough to perhaps briefly interrupt some of those plans this evening. We have fish out at Ruoff this evening. We have baseball at Victory Field. I believe there's music out at Connor Prairie tonight. So a lot going on. Just be prepared for some minor interruptions if you get under one of these storms. A lot of central Indiana is in the clear, but we can show you where the storms have developed late this afternoon and this evening. We have a little bit of rain just to the east of Lafayette. This will move toward Frankfort. We also have some heavier cells just south of Muncie drifting off to the south and east toward those of you in Newcastle. From time to time, these have had some lightning. I also want to point out this little thin green line. That's an outflow boundary. Sometimes we can get additional development along that boundary. Also, sometimes there's some gusty winds associated with that. In terms of that severe threat that Scott asked about, it is mainly south and west, southwest of Bloomington as we head into the overnight hours. Future Track 13 shows the spotty showers and storms. We eventually think this boundary will sink far enough south that that's where the focus for the storms tomorrow will be, especially as we get into Saturday, the early half of the day and into the afternoon hours. There will still be some storms around. I'm going to continue this timeline, talk about some heat in the forecast for next week.
Thanks, Angela. You can track the storms alongside Angela on our WTHR TV streaming app.
And that's where you can check out our live local radar anytime you want. Well, some students here in central Indiana head back to school in less than 3 weeks. Now, if you need some help with school supplies, listen up. The Covering Kids and Families of Health and Hospital Corporation is hosting its Back to School Community Resource Day tomorrow. It'll take place from 8:30 Saturday morning until noon at the Marion County Public Health Department, which is located at 3838 North Rural Street here in Indianapolis. Every student will get a free backpack with school supplies. There will also be other free services like sports physicals, vision and dental screenings, and haircuts. And keep in mind, this is first come, first served, so you'll want to arrive early.
An update tonight on a popular West Side statue.
Mr. Bendo is now on his way to Virginia for repairs after a mix-up overnight, which led to somebody kidnapping him and then returning him. However, his return this morning, his owner sent him away for those repairs just a few hours ago.
So you've likely noticed Mr. Bendo outside Ralph's Muffler on 16th Street on the west side. He's 18 feet tall and one of the few remaining giant muffler men across the country.
Mr. Bendo is in need of $20,000 worth of repairs after a car crashed into him back in March. Those repairs are expected to take a few months.
A travel dream becomes a travel nightmare. The health scare for a Hoosier family on the 2-week cruise and the problems they encountered while getting medical treatment overseas. It's new at 5:30. First at 5.
Probably halfway up, he fell, and then he was screaming, "I got bit."
New worries about shark attacks tonight, where they've been reported, and the reason we're learning of more attacks than ever before.
And a mother's devastation. The heartbreaking plea for answers in the death of a Mississippi teen. Next.